I am going to come out publicly and say that this word doesn't offend me, and we can't allow words to keep defining us. We can't allow words to keep offending us. And we need, as much as I hate to admit it, we need as a disabled community to suck it up and just deal with some things. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of the Nick Speaks podcast, the podcast dedicated to the disabled community, where we speak up, speak out, and speak loud about the issues that matter to the disabled the most. I am your ever so handsome host, Nick Comstock. You guys, I am so glad that you joined me today on this Tuesday. I hope that everyone is doing well. I hope you've got a great start on your Christmas holiday shopping. If you haven't, you better hurry. You're running out of time. The 25th isn't that far away. So you're going to want to hurry up real quick. Speaking of great Christmas gifts, especially if you have someone that is super hard to buy for, I don't think anyone would turn down a relaxing massage for the Christmas holidays. So why don't you take some time and go see my friends at Columbus Restorative Massage and Wellness Studio and get 20% off your visit when you check out online and use the code SPEAK UP. I am so glad that they're doing this for you guys. There's no way, in my opinion, that would be better to celebrate the Christmas holiday season than to go get yourself relaxed and untense, because you know you're going to be tense when you're around those family members that you don't really like. So take some time and go get a massage at Columbus Restorative Massage and Wellness Studio and use the promo code SPEAK UP at checkout to get 20% off your visit. Thank you to Columbus Restorative Massage and Wellness Studio for sponsoring the Nick Speaks podcast. Really appreciate it. Also, guys, I want to take time to do a really quick show note about my GoFundMe. You know, this podcast doesn't come to you for free. It comes at some expense. And I would love to have your support. My GoFundMe, it says it's for a handicap accessible van. Yes, that is what it was originally intended for, and it is still intended for that. Now we're adding my podcast expenses to the mix. So if you could donate $5, $10, $20. Every dime for now will go to keep this podcast on the air so that I can come to you with great content, great guests every week. So please visit my bio and give whatever you can to my GoFundMe. I would appreciate it. Thank you so much. You guys, today I have yet another monologue for you, and I believe that this one is very, very important. I want to talk to you about a very sensitive word that the disabled community has worked hard to eliminate. And I want to talk to you today about the word retard. This was used back in the 20th century to describe someone who had severe mental delay or was just slow in general, whether it was physically or mentally. It was used to unfortunately describe the disabled community. Recently, the word retard has become back to the forefront again because President Trump used the word retard to describe the Minnesota governor, Tim Walz. And it set some people in the disabled community ablaze. And I say some people because I am not one of those people that's offended by the word retard. And I never have been, never will be. And if you are, I hope that this episode will maybe open your mind a little bit. And maybe I won't change your mind, but maybe you can just hear my perspective and see where I'm coming from. Okay, so that's what I hope to do with this episode. When I was growing up, the word retard really for me and my five brothers that I grew up with meant that we were doing something ridiculous and stupid and dumb. I didn't find it offensive when my brothers called me a retard. Um, I'm not. I'm very smart. Uh, have I done stupid things? Have I said dumb things? Yeah. So at that time, was I retarded? Sure. Um, I just don't find it really offensive. Now, would I go into a room with a whole bunch of disabled people and say, "Hey, what's up, retards?" No, because probably a lot of them would take offense to that. And you've got to do as they say, read the room. Now, I have a disabled friend. I have a couple disabled friends actually that I believe if I were to call them a retard, they would not get offended. But I would not intentionally go up to people that are disabled and say, "You're a retard." Because to be honest with you, disabled people are often more the smart ones, and the able-bodied people are often retarded. So to me, that's not an offensive word. And for some reason, back in the 20th century, the disabled community took that word, and the disabled community at the time accepted that word as, hey, they're talking about us because we do things differently and we're slow. And I'm sorry that that happened. And it shouldn't have happened. Do I think it should be eliminated? No, I don't think it should be eliminated. Like I said, when I grew up, it was being used to um to define someone as being stupid or an actual retarded driver on the road. That's when my parents used it a lot was, "Hey, these are retarded drivers, like they're driving really retarded." It wasn't a slur towards me at all. And I've never looked at it as a slur. If you do, I understand. You do you, boo. But I'm just telling you how I feel about it. And to be honest with you, and this next statement is coming from someone who is way too damn sensitive themselves. The disabled community is way too damn sensitive. And I'm saying that, like I said, as a person who is way too damn sensitive because we want people to treat us without a disability, and when we do that, when they do that, we say, "Oh, you're making fun of me because of my disability," or, "Oh, you're treating me mean because I have a disability." You know what? To be honest with you, disabled community, it's time for us to wake up and realize that there are people in this world that don't care if we have a disability or not. They're going to treat us as rude as they would anybody else. And we can't say we want to be treated without a disability and then fold like a and then folds like a metal folding chair every time somebody treats us rude because of our disability. We can't we have to stop letting words define us and offend us. Every time somebody uses the word retard, it is not directed toward you as a disabled person. When President Trump was using the word retard, it was not directed towards the disabled community. It was directed towards someone he strongly, vehemently disagrees with. Could he have used a different word? Yes, he could have. But I have a feeling just because it's Trump, you all would have been mad anyway. Um, and I understand there was a Republican in Indiana that got upset because President Trump used that word. I have a daughter that has Down syndrome, the Indiana Republican said, and that word should never be used, he said. Well, here's a question. I don't understand why people with disabilities get upset when that word is used in any form, unless it's being used directly towards them. And you know what? If it is being used directly towards you, disabled people, I like what somebody said in my comments the other day because I was talking about this on my TikTok. And somebody said, I was in line at the store one day and there was a Down syndrome person in front of me, and an old man got upset and he said, is it retard day at the supermarket? And the lady turned around and said, you must love looking at your own reflection in the mirror, or something to that effect. And I thought it was a great comeback. When you hear that word, disabled people, don't put that on you. It's not on you. You are not that. You are smart. You are wonderful. And yes, do you make some stupid decisions? Sometimes. Yes, you do. We all do. We're adults. But that doesn't mean that you're brain dead. Okay. I don't understand why people with disabilities are upset with the word retard, but I see many people with disabilities use the word, oh, eat your vegetables, come over and eat me. Like, why isn't the word vegetable offensive to the disabled community if the word retard is so offensive? I don't understand it. To me, in this instance, you can't have your cake and eat it too. And for those of you that are going to say that I defend President Trump, I'll just go ahead and say it. I'm a Trump supporter. And before you come out and say, well, he made fun of a disabled reporter because that's the one that everybody goes back to. Yes, he did. And if I was that disabled reporter, would I have been upset that he used my disability to make fun of me? Well, honestly, I don't know because I make fun of myself all the time. So probably not. But if I were that disabled reporter, just being in his shoes, I would be like, you know what? That was a dick move of President Trump to do. That was blow the belt. But at least he treated me like every other reporter because you know what? Trump makes fun of every other reporter who is not disabled. And he didn't even think twice to give this disabled reporter a pass when he wrote a piece or when he disagreed with something Trump did or said or whatever the case. I don't remember the cause of Trump doing what he did when he made like the disabled reporter was having a spasm. You know, I believe it was Trump did this. I don't know what I said, and he made a note. He made um a joke about him having a spasm or something like that, and people were very offended by that. And honestly, I was not, because people with disabilities need to learn to make fun of ourselves. You know, we talk about how hard it is to make friends. And I believe one of the reasons it's hard for us to make friends is because people think that we're already fragile physically, and they don't want to do anything that would upset us. They don't want to say anything that would upset us about our disability. And so then when we come off fragile mentally as well, when we're upset, if somebody makes fun of our disability or if somebody tries to make us laugh and they don't say the right thing, then how are we supposed to keep anybody without a disability in our lives if we're going to be upset over something they do or say all the time? Now, again, I'm not going to go into a room full of people with disabilities and say, hey, what's up, retards? Unless I know those people in the room with developmental disabilities are not going to care, but I am going to come out publicly and say that this word doesn't offend me, and we can't allow words to keep defining us. We can't allow words to keep offending us. And we need, as much as I hate to admit it, we need as a disabled community to suck it up and just deal with some things. That's what my dad used to tell me all the time. And as I look back on it as I get older, yes, I hated that at the time. I wish my dad would have been there for me more emotionally. But him telling me to suck it up and deal with it has helped me deal with a lot of crap that I've had to put up with in this world. And so, yeah, disabled people, quit spazzing out over the word retard. And every time a disabled parent spazzes out because they hear the word retard, basically you are agreeing that your special needs child is that. Every time you spaz out over the word, oh, that's so offensive. Why? You don't think your child is a retard? You tell them they're not a retard all the time that word is said. So why does it offend you? I don't understand this. And I know that I'm going to get a lot of blowback on this today. And I've said a lot of things in my TikToks recently that have caused people to get a lot of blowbacks. And I that have caused people to give me a lot of blowback. And I don't, I don't really care. I want to be able to speak my mind like everybody else. And I should be able to do that. And for those of you who might say, Nick, you just said you're a Trump supporter. How could you vote against your own interest? Let me tell you something. I did an episode a couple of weeks ago about, the medical system and how unfair it is and how we get denied everything and all that stuff. Probably a lot of those people in those systems that send those denial letters are Democrats, or they don't have anything to do with people with disabilities in their everyday life, or both. So how am I voting against my interest when I can't even get the current democratic system that's in place to give me what I know I need? But instead, they want to say, oh, it's a luxury. So how are the Democrats helping me with my everyday life as a disability when I get denial letters as if they're like wallpaper? I could wallpaper my house. My mom probably could too. She probably has more denial letters than I do. Um, my mom could probably wallpaper her house with all the denial letters that she got on my behalf. And I could probably wallpaper my apartment. So why is it it's so interesting for people to say to me, Nick, when you voted for President Trump, you voted against your interest. Why? Because honestly, I've been through a couple different presidents now where they've had the Democrats control the both houses and the presidency, and the lives of people with disabilities have not improved under Democrats or Republicans. So you tell me who's against our both interests. Who's against our best interests as people with disabilities? I think it's both of them. Do I think one party runs the country better than the other? Yes, I do. And I believe it's the party we're sitting under right now. And the reason why people with disabilities don't get what we deserve is because we don't speak up. We don't speak out. We don't speak loud. We don't get the Democrats or the Republicans to pay attention to us. But instead, we sit here and bitch and moan about how horrible the world is for disabled people. And instead, we want to get upset over a small little word like retard, instead of getting to the real issue of the matter, which is, why can't people with physical disabilities that need transferred out of their wheelchairs get a full medical exam in 2025? Why are people living on with legitimate disabilities? Why are people living on less than $1,000 a month in order to get by? But no, we want to sit here and have an uproar about the word retard. Are you serious? Like, we need to pick our battles, and I don't think the word retard is a hill that the disabled community needs to die on. And if you're someone that's offended by it, be my guest, be offended. All I'm saying is that you can't be offended by that word and then be offended by the word disabled and be offended by the word disability and whatever other words disabled people are offended by these days. Because pretty soon we're going to be offended by every word, and then we'll go back to nobody wants to talk to us. Yeah, because we as dumb disabled people are offended at every word that comes out of an able-bodied person's mouth. So yeah, of course we have nobody talking to us because we told them the words disabled are offensive. We told them the word disability is offensive. We told them the word retard is offensive. What else are we going to tell them is offensive? That's going to cause them not to talk to us. So we really have to get it in our head. What is more important? Are we going to fight, go to the people that are supposed to be in Congress to help us and say, hey, it would be really great if we could ensure that medical doctors have the equipment that we need so that we can get the tests that we need done? Or are we going to sit here and freak out over the word retard? You have to make a choice, disabled community. And I realize I'm not talking to everyone in the disabled community because I'm sure there's people that are out there like me who feel this way, that the word retard is not offensive. It just means another word for stupid. And I want to say this too, a lot of people in the disabled community want to say that Trump hates people with disabilities, but yet you want more from his government. If I were Trump and the disabled community was constantly saying, oh, they hate me, I don't like the orange man, blah, 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 I honestly wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't do anything for the disabled community if I were in Trump's position. Because you said you want more from me, but you say I'm a horrible person and I hate people with disabilities, and yet you've never met me. All you've seen is clips. This is what I would do if I were Trump. I'm not Trump. So, and maybe that's why he hasn't done anything. It's because people with disabilities think that he's automatically against them. So he's just like, take what you get. I don't care. Keep in mind, none of the other presidents that I've been a part of in this lifetime, Bush, Obama, Biden, they've never done anything to improve people's lives dramatically that are disabled. We're still getting low food stamp card budgets. We still can't have anything over $2,000 in our bank account. And we spent the last 4 years under the Democratic administration. So why didn't it change then? Why didn't it change under Obama? Why didn't it change under Bush? It's not because of the party. It's because the disabled people are sitting around bitching about everything, talking about the Democrats are the best for the disabled people, but they don't want to talk to the other side and see what they can get done. So, yeah, choose your battles. Choose your battles, disabled people. And I honestly don't think using the word, freaking out over the word retard is a battle that you should choose to fight, because there's a lot worse battles that people with disabilities face. You know, uh, not being able to get their equipment paid for, food insecurity, not having enough money to live. But we want to sit here and call our administration out because they call a governor retarded, who probably actually really is and has something wrong with him, to be honest. So, yeah, that's my opinion on the word. It doesn't offend me. I know a lot of you are going to be like, wow, you use the word retard a lot today. Well, yeah, that's what this episode's about. So, and to be honest with you guys, I'll say this too. To be honest with you, the word retard has been replaced with words like vulnerable. You're vulnerable, disabled people, which means they don't think we have a brain to think for ourselves because we're vulnerable and we're nice to people and we need help. So the word retard has been replaced with you're really nice to people and you have a big heart. Or it's been placed with you're vulnerable, which is basically telling us that we don't have a brain and we're retarded anyway. They just don't use that word. Wake up, smell the coffee, disabled people. It doesn't matter. If they don't use the word retard, they're going to find another word to insult us. We got to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and tell our friends and family, yeah, we may be vulnerable, we may make mistakes, but we're just as well qualified as any of you to come out here and live a full life like you do every day, and stop just sitting down and letting people kick us around and tell us how we have to live our lives. And that's the way it is because we're disabled. We got to stop the nonsense. All right, I'm done with my rant today. You guys, please let me know how you feel about this episode. If you want to come on come on my show and debate me, I'm more than happy to have you here. And not that I want to get into a debate about it, but if you want to, you can email me and say, "Hey, can we talk about it on your show?" And we'll see if you'll be a good fit for the Next Speaks podcast. I would love to have a guest come on. I haven't had a guest in several weeks. I'm assuming it's because of the Christmas holidays and everything happening. And honestly, too, I would like to have someone from United States Congress come on from either party to tell me what is President Trump's plan to improve lives for people with disabilities, to improve the lives of people with disabilities, because it hasn't been done under the last few presidents that I've been under, but yet every disabled person that I know, with the exception of a couple, are like, the Democrats wrong for the disabled. No, they don't. And neither do the Republicans. Okay. Which is why I'm seriously considering uh registering as an independent, by the way. Anyway, I hope this episode will start a conversation and get people with disabilities to suck it up a little bit. And, if somebody calls you a retard, say something crazy to them. Like, Well, that's not what your wife said when I was creaming her taco or something like that. Say something crazy like that. And then they'll never shut. They might punch you, but then you could sue them for assault and make money. So, no, I'm not condoning violence. Nick Speaks is not condoning violence. I'm just giving you ideas. If somebody calls you a retard and you're disabled, you could come up with some comebacks like, you know, I was creaming your wife taco last night and she didn't think that. Or, if it's a guy who calls a woman retarded, figure something out. Well, why don't you come eat this vegetable and see if you really think I'm retarded? Something like that. You just gotta come with a fun response. You just have to. You can't let everybody offend you. The word retard is always going to be there no matter what. So we gotta just deal with it. It's just words, people. Just words. Like, follow, and share, and rate this podcast. Give us a 5-star rating if you really like what you hear on Nick Speaks. This is the Nick Speaks podcast, the podcast dedicated to the disabled community, where we speak up, speak out, and speak loud about the issues that matter to the disabled the most. I am your host, Nick Comstock. I will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.